Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
The podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today we are reading Doom Patrol, issue 64 through 69, which have no trade or anything out for them, so you have to find those on Comixology or in the back issue bin. I'm sure they're probably easy to find. I think. I don't know, unless there was like a rare character or something first appearance, but actually, I don't know with that show coming out. You never know nowadays, folks, with back issues and what's popular. Comics have blown up, so
yeah, especially with when they get like a big show, people are like, "Oh, I've never heard of this. I want to go check it out," and they go and buy like a bunch of what they can.
That's
find.
not what happens. That's what happens is someone goes, first appearance of this character on a TV show or whatever. I got to go find that first appearance in comics and sell it for $10,000, and then that's what happens.
You have that too, but
most of it's speculators right now.
It is
because I'm the guy that goes to look. You know, it'd be nice if I had like a full run of Detective Comics from starting at issue 400 or whatever, and then I look and I'm like, oh, I'm never going to be able to afford that issue. Or that's the first appearance of Killer Croc. He's gigantic for some reason. I don't know why, but he's $10,000 or whatever. It's like,
goodness,
what? That's crazy. So it took me forever to find the first appearance of Renee Montoya. Let's put it that way. And I was like, it's just Renee Montoya, but because she becomes the question, and they're speculating on if she
gets popular,
the question later on or whatever in a movie or some shit, then they're just keeping it up there. So, but anyway, regardless of that, before we get into this, everybody, if you didn't know, we have a YouTube channel, and we post all of our podcast episodes and Matt's minis up there, but we also do YouTube content where we have reviews of stuff and whatnot, issues and graphic novels, and we're pretty close to 100 subscribers. So if y'all want to go hit up our YouTube, and if you comment on a video from the video Monsters, the review of Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith I did, if you comment on any video from that video forward until we pick over wherever we get 100 subscribers, and then subscribe, then we will be giving you'll be entered to be in the giveaway for Comixology gift card, and depending on how many people do that, the amount may rise or vary.
Yeah.
So, or we might pick a couple people if it's enough. But just letting everybody know, because I've been slacking on saying it, so we were like, hey, let's tell everybody on the podcast.
Yeah. So check out our YouTube. Like, share, but most importantly, subscribe
and comment.
And then you get entered that contest.
Yeah, and that includes these podcast videos and everything too. Like these videos, we just put like a screen of some of the issues or images from the comic up, and then it's just a static image. Even on those, if you comment and say, love your channel or whatever, and then subscribe.
Love this episode, or hey, I like this, but maybe do something differently. If you want to give us some constructive feedback, that's fine too. Just let us know.
Don't tell people that.
Constructive. Don't say like, this sucks.
Yeah, that's constructive.
Because then why are you subscribing? Go listen to their channel.
That's YouTube constructive, though. So, so anyway, so we just want to let everybody know about that before we get into this. But yeah, so this, like we said, is Doom Patrol. This is written in 1993. This is after the Grant Morrison. This is directly after. This is the first issue after the Grant Morrison run ended. And I guess technically this is the first Vertigo stuff. I think Grant Morrison stuff wasn't considered Vertigo because it was actually before they made that imprint.
Oh, wow.
So I think this is actually Vertigo proper. So this is the first like Vertigo Doom Patrol stuff, and it's by Rachel Pollack, who is a trans writer that we are kind of highlighting for Pride Month. So or Pride, I guess this is
month. It's month.
So we just wanted to do this because I'd never heard anybody talk about her except one other person on a video that I watched, and I never read any of her stuff, and she seemed really cool because he did an interview with her, and I was like, wow, I want to read what her stuff is like. So I was like, let's do her because I've never heard of her before, and no one had ever brought her up. And I had never read this from.
Yeah, I had never read any Doom Patrol. So I was
And I'll say this, John was probably like, what the fuck am I reading? Because John had never read any Doom Patrol. I had read the Grant Morrison stuff, maybe 4 or 5 trades of it, when I worked at the comic book store in the mid-2000s. So I was like, wow, that was really good. And I don't know, I never finished the whole series because it's like 50-plus issues long or something. It's maybe 60? Yeah, I think it's 60 issues long. And so, it's a lot of trades to read in a row, and I like to take a break kind of in the middle of stuff sometimes. It is fucking crazy. It's literally, Doom Patrol is it was originally from the 60s. It actually came out like 5 months before X-Men, and it is very X-Men-ish. There is a man named Niles who is like in a wheelchair who finds all these, they're not mutants, but they're people with special abilities that are kind of outcasts, and he makes a team with them. And, there's a lot of similarities. We'll say. But the difference is, I'll say this, this is a very different team.
Yes.
Because Doom Patrol, I think back in the 60s and 70s was more of like a sci-fi oriented. So they would fight like different stuff, but it wasn't as crazy as this shit. But like, I think when Grant Morrison came on, he was like, I've done enough psychedelics. I'm going to introduce this crazy shit into this book. So this book became like a very avant-garde. Like, they will be fighting, like they'll be talking, and all of a sudden teleporting lips will fly into the screen, and now they start attacking everybody. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And then like, someone walks in with like the face of a carrot, and and then you're like, what? And then they start fighting them, like, oh my god, there's a monster that's attacking, and they're projecting these images on people, or it's like, what? How do you come up with this shit or whatever? But like yeah, basically, it just got way crazy, but like well respected as far as the story. Everybody was able to follow it pretty good. I mean, obviously, Grant Morrison isn't always the easiest to follow on some stuff because he has taken so many psychedelics. So, and if you haven't taken as much psychedelics as he has, it's quite hard to follow.
On your level.
I think some people have, and when they talk about Grant Morrison, they're like, he's the best ever.
Oh my god!
I'm like, I get it. You've taken enough to know what he's talking about.
I have not.
Yeah, I haven't taken any psychedelics personally, and John, I don't think you have either.
Nope.
So it just seems batshit crazy, but then. If you read it far enough, if you go with it, you just kind of roll with the punches and go, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to assume they're going to wrap this up in a nice way or whatever. It does have some linear sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is like an ending to Grant Morrison's run. Now, the thing I wasn't prepared for was Rachel Pollack took that craziness and kept running with it. About equally, or if not more, crazy than Grant Morrison. I was very surprised how this actually just picks up right from Grant Morrison's run and fucking runs.
Hits the ground running.
Yes,
like literally.
Like, I could not believe how good, or like how much this felt like Grant Morrison's run. Like just that craziness, and but also with things that like I don't know if he would. It's not that he wouldn't touch on it, but obviously she's got different things on her mind, different issues that are poignant or whatever. So stuff she wants to talk about. So there were things that he probably wouldn't have brought up or talked about. But I liked her style of writing and how it fit into this and how she did a really good job of, if you had been reading Grant Morrison's run and that's it, and you picked up the next issue just to see if you would like it, you'd probably be like, oh yeah, I'm down with this too. So very well done. I liked it a lot. And but yeah, so the Doom Patrol generally consisted of like 3 to 5 members, maybe 6 or depending on what's going on. But there was like a metal man named Cliff Steele. There was I don't know what she would be called. There's a girl named Dorothy who's like really young, but she's kind of like Wanda Maximoff. Like she can kind of make things come into reality as she wishes.
Yeah, basically she can imagine up things and like these people will appear, these like creatures or things. So.
Yeah, generally there's stuff she thought of when she was little, like even younger than like oh, these were my imaginary friends when I was a kid or whatever. But she has like a facial deformity or whatever where she kind of looks, I guess, apish.
Yeah, I think they say ape face in the comic, but it's I don't know, it's Yeah, it's a facial deformity of some sort.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even necessarily call it ape.
Sometimes it looks just like maybe like almost like elephantitis or something in certain areas. Yeah, so I think it depends on who's drawing it, how much of an ape it looks like, or how much it just
looks off.
Just looks off. Yeah. So, and in Grant Morrison's run, also there's a guy named Niles Calder. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Niles
who
Calder.
was they call him the Chief. He was like kind of the Professor X.
Yeah, he's the guy in the wheelchair,
yeah.
and some things happen with him. We'll get into that.
Yeah, which I actually liked a lot.
I did too. So that was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, so in Grant Morrison's run, those three people were in it, plus a bunch of other people. Someone named Crazy Jane was in it. I have never finished the Grant Morrison run, but what I assume happened just from the beginning of this book is Crazy Jane must have gone crazy and killed everybody or blown everybody up, or something happened where she dies along with a lot of other people.
Yeah.
If they're fighting a bad guy or something. But
we know part of that because one character of this does not want to talk about it.
yeah, Cliff is like, I don't want to talk about Jane. And so, but at the beginning of this book, we're just introduced to Dorothy. Like, that's the only person that we see on the team that's still around. And she's just kind of like walking in the aisle. And she's walking through like a supermarket, and she's obviously having issues with becoming, I guess she's getting older now. She's going into like teenhood or whatever you call it. I don't know what the fuck it's called. Adolescence. There you go. And she's having, I guess for the first time, to have to buy tampons for herself, maybe, because I don't know if she's before, I think people would help her with these things because she wouldn't go out on her own, I don't think. So, and in this, she's got to go out on her own. I don't know if she really knows how to do a lot of this stuff because, I don't know. She just seems like this is like the first time. The way she's acting in the store, like the way people are acting around her, and the way she's looking at the aisles and everything going on. It seems like she's just, I guess this will do or whatever, and move on. But everybody in the store is like, oh my God, like when they see her, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, these people are assholes. But yeah, they're literally just like, oh my God, did you see that ape person or whatever? And stay away from her, Timmy, or whatever. And it's like, Jesus, people, calm the fuck down. Because you wouldn't assume that, right? You wouldn't be like, it's a monkey-faced person or whatever. You'd be like, oh, it's someone with a deformity.
Like, oh, yes.
Maybe I shouldn't yell that out in the middle of the fucking store. But, apparently people in the early 90s weren't as nice or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think, if I had to guess, I would say this is maybe because the way that they're talking about it, like, is that like a person or what is it? Is it a man or a woman? They say stuff like that. So you're like, okay, maybe this is like stuff from like Rachel Pollack's like trans stuff she's had to deal with, where people are like, oh my God, whatever. So
yeah,
I could see that the allusion to that kind of stuff. So that's what I was saying. Like, I don't know if Grant Morrison would have insight enough to write some of this part of it with Dorothy, but yeah. So Dorothy, in the middle of this store, she has like a fucking vision or something, and I'm not exactly sure if she's manifesting these visions or not.
I don't think with these. Okay. It's hard to tell at first, but I think as we go on, I don't think it's for these.
That's right. I think there's a couple different. And then I will say this: hey, if we get any of this plot wrong, please forgive us, because goddamn, like we said, it's psychedelic as fuck, and a lot of it is like, I don't know exactly what's going on this page, but I think I can piece it together. So if we mess something up, forgive us, or just tell us, hey, just so you know.
Yeah, if you know exactly what it is, like let us know. It'd be like, oh, hey, it was actually this, but
Yeah, so in the middle of this store, like it all goes red, and then these like weird. They're like African tribe demons or something. I don't know. And the reason why I thought this was her, because they talk about her renting or checking out a book from the library about Africa. Yeah. And so that's why I was like, oh, she's manifesting these African-looking tribal, like, I don't know what you call them, shaman or whatever. And so, but like basically, there's like these people that manifest that are like African tribal-looking. And they start talking to her in very non-making sense ways. Like, I read all these dialogue bubbles. I'm like, I don't know what.
I read them like twice. I was
let me give you a little sample of this. It says, one of them says, "Child strip faces cold, roads come and be home. Whispering voices slide down the river hills. come home and be liquid now. No pain of the summer kills.
All right.
I don't know what that means, but cool. So she, in response to this, she's freaking out. She's like, I'm not going with you. So it seems like she understood some of what they were saying, like, come with us. And she manifests her own group of people to fight them. And there's this girl named Dot that she, like, this woman named Dot that she, like, pulls out of reality, that she, like, makes into reality. And then I don't know what her powers are, but she can, like, shoot energy beams or something and fights them off. And then they go running off. They're freaking out. But then we see, even in the real world, the people that appeared, the African tribal monsters or people, they did not die from that. But they're, like, still following her in the middle of the street. And then there's, like, pig guts and shit that are also manifesting in the middle of the street, and people are like, what the fuck? Like, other people, not just her.
Yeah, they, like, regular normal people are seeing it.
Yeah, so it's like, wait, what? Then when Dorothy gets home to her, like, little apartment or whatever, we see how she lives. She lives like a little kid. She's got, like, dolls and toys and stuff, but she's sleeping on the floor on a mattress. I don't even know if it's a mattress or if it's just like a little bed or whatever,
little cot or something.
Yeah, but she has, like, a sink, and I don't see a restroom in here or anything. It's very, like, Spartan. That's the best way I could put it. But yeah, like, she just, it's obvious she's not, like, living high up or anything. And I don't know, like we said, we don't know what happened to the rest of the Doom Patrol. They don't even say. We're just introduced to her. And so then as she walks in, we see Cliff Steele, the robot, is sitting in a chair, and he's like, Dorothy, how wonderful to see you. Glad you invited me. So at first I thought this is just a figment of her, like, she's manifesting Cliff here.
I thought maybe, but also she mentions to Dot, like, hey, why don't you come and meet the Doom Patrol? I'm their leader. That's why I thought maybe, okay, like, she did, like, have them come to her place or whatever. So
yeah. So I don't know. I guess she invited him. I don't know how she invited him, but that's the thing. Like, I just wasn't sure about it. Like, some of this, I was like, either it's a vision or, like, a manifestation of hers, or it's actually him. I guess this one was actually him. But then we cut to Niles. Niles Calder is sitting in a chair, and he's like, I was the head of the Doom Patrol and everything. And he seems kind of, like, evil in this or something. At the beginning of this, he seemed like he was the bad guy or something. But I don't know exactly what was going on. But him and this guy named Magnus are kind of talking back and forth, and you get, like, maybe they're not in reality because the color spectrum and, like, the, like, inference of technology behind them and stuff. But basically, something has happened where Magnus is, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. This is my understanding of it, John. Magnus is, like, the butler. He is helping Niles, who is actually, like, he brought his body back, but actually it's just his head.
Yeah, for my thought of it is that, yeah, like, his head is still the only consciousness, and I guess he's trying to regain control of his body or something. Yeah. And then, yeah, and I don't know if Magnus is a butler or if he's just, like, a group confidant, because he comes off as,
I say butler, but I meant like an Alfred, or like someone who will just help out or whatever.
Yeah, but I just it didn't come off quite as that, because it seemed like he's a little more put together, and not like, he didn't seem like a servant,
or maybe he's even like a government.
Maybe he's like a government contact. Yeah. Because the way, like, because when he talks to Dorothy later too, and it seemed like they, like, met somewhere outside of, like, you know, a headquarters or a place where they would be.
But they introduced, like, oh, Magnus is talking about, like, you know, thanks for bringing my body back and shit like that, and, like, you know, thanks for, you know, this is, like, helpful. But it seems like they're having, like Magnus is like, I don't know if this was such a good idea, kind of thing. Yeah. And then, like, they also introduce something that's very similar to Cerebro, where he's like, oh, just so you know, Niles, here's like a room, your room where you can telepathically talk to everybody, or like manifest the stuff you're talking about. Isn't it magnificent, this machine that we created? I'm like, hey, it's Cerebro. It's Cerebro from X-Men. But yeah, so it's very And then we cut from there. I was gonna say it's very interesting, but like I wasn't exactly sure what was going on in that scene. 2, we cut back to Dorothy, and she's having like a tea with the Doom Patrol, and this is why I thought it was all fucking fake, including Cliff, because Cliff is there, and he's got hair, and he was dressed up not like Cliff in the comic, and Magnus is there. I'm not Magnus. Niles is there, and a couple other people that I guess are from the old Doom Patrol.
Yeah, there's the one is Dot.
One's Dot, but I'm talking about there's another guy, Mr. Clay, that I assumed was from the other Doom Patrol or something, or it's just a friend of hers that she made up. So I wasn't sure exactly what was going on because it didn't seem like I've read enough of Doom Patrol to know Robot isn't like a tea having guy.
Yeah.
So like I thought this was like her, manifesting Cliff in her mind or whatever. And then later on, he actually appears and he's in the base with Niles and Magnus.
Yeah.
So I actually think that's what happened.
Oh, maybe.
But we could both be wrong. We don't know. Please tell us. Please tell us what happened. So then as she's having tea, because she's manifesting these people, all of a sudden the African tribal people she looks out the window and they're like outside of her window doing crazy shit on the ground, like some kind of like dance and chants and stuff. And then this is where you get the crazy psychedelic drawing stuff, because until now we've just seen, her manifestation of people and then like the African tribal people. I'm like, okay, that's not that crazy. Then she comes down and all of a sudden Earth like changes. It's on fire around her, and then like she's walking, there's like tropical trees, and then we see like a giant fucking caterpillar bug, and then like these topless women approach her with like food trays that have like
a mouth,
a mouth for nipples,
where you'd have a nipple?
Not a mouth, just teeth,
yeah,
and a hole maybe behind the teeth, like they're gonna eat you,
yeah,
if you bite the nipple,
like,
the nipple's gonna bite you,
like boobs with mouths,
yeah. Tit mouths. So yeah, it's just like, what? And then like just all this crazy shit happens, and then she's talking to one of them. It like the African tribal person has like a snake, and the snake, like it's like almost like she throws the snake like a whip, like, and like the snake bites Dorothy on the face. And then we kind of basically find out that if Dorothy uses her powers, it actually manifests these other people, like it makes these African tribal people come to her. Like, so the more she uses her powers, like when she's having tea time for funsies, they're like, oh, that's where she is, and then like they go and appear there and start causing crazy shit. And that's why I was saying, because like the Doom Patrol come to stop her, or just to help her out in this look, because now she's like, she goes fully out of the city now, and now everything looks like Africa. And the Doom Patrol show up because she's manifesting them, and that's where we see, Niles is in his chair, and he's shooting out of his chair, which I totally wish Professor X would shoot it, like fight with the X-Men and shoot guns with out his chair. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And then, Cliff Steele, the robot, he's fighting, and then I think that's Crazy Jane in the background. So, because she had like white and black hair and stuff. So,
gotcha.
So yeah, they're fighting all these visions and everything. So I'm almost 100% sure Dorothy was just having tea time with visions, no actual Doom Patrol members there. And then at the end of this, they all kill everybody or whatever, and then Magnus shows up in her house after she's like calmed down or whatever. And then apparently everybody saw all this happen, because the neighbors are like, finally, someone take her out of here. She was causing all that commotion earlier. And I'm like, if I looked out my fucking window and saw, African jungle war going on with Doom Patrol and like these crazy, tit-mouthed women and all this shit, I'd be like, am I having a stroke or like?
I'm just gonna go back and lay down.
Yeah, I'm gonna
hopefully
go
wake up from the
call the loony bin because it's time for me to go. But so anyway, Magnus finds her and he's like, hey, like. I think he tells her, he's the one who says like, hey, you need to stop manifesting your stuff because you're causing these other fantasies to appear, like these African tribal fantasies. And that's where she says like, oh, I think he's like, it's a mixture of Greek and African tribal stuff. And and like cultural things. And she's like, oh, maybe it's because I read that book on Africa that one time. So that's why I thought she's manifesting it.
I think I missed that. So yours makes more sense now.
Yeah. So they have lunch or whatever. And this is also, you get to see how she's treated even more by other people because like they're having lunch and people are just staring at them and fucking, ew, what is that? Everybody talks under their breath about her and stuff. But Magnus is nice and he treats her like a normal person. And so, yeah, the weird thing is he just like leaves her.
Well, he said he's got to go help with something.
Yeah, but he's like, he can't be like, hey, I got Magnus over at the base or whatever. You know, like maybe we should not leave you to be in your apartment by yourself and so lonely. But whatever, you know, he's a guy. He's not thinking about it. He's just a government stooge.
Yeah, well, I mean, he gives her money. He's like, yeah, go buy yourself some makeup or something pretty.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. He's that like, hey, why don't you put some makeup on that face or whatever?
I don't know. I think he was just like,
he's trying to be nice. Yeah. Obviously, she took it like that. I don't think she took it mean. But yeah, so she.
But this is horrible.
Yeah, this is horrible. She actually does go, and this was crazy. Like I didn't quite understand this full scene, but she goes to buy makeup. Like he said, suggested, and she's like, oh yeah, I'd like some makeup, and she's like, well, I've never really used it before, and then the person at the cosmetics counter is like, oh yeah, no problem, and like being nice, and then all of a sudden she's like, why don't we start with some foundation, and like throws fucking whatever, I don't know, liquid in her face that's like makeup liquid, and I'm like, what?
That's what I couldn't tell because there was like people around her. And they were kind of like, oh God, like again, like, ooh, what a...
Yeah, they're like, you better use a blowtorch, not foundation.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't know if like the store clerk was like, maybe like being influenced by that or if she did...
I don't know, but why would you like throw... Like you're being all calm and then she goes from like 0 to 10 in one panel. In less than a panel. In like between the panels. So like, she's like looking perfectly normal, like, here's some nice new foundation. And then the next panel is her... Okay, she's throwing it in her face, but it looks like the face in the panel looks like she accidentally spilled it on her or something. Yeah. Then the panel after that is her yelling, "Get out of here, you fucking freak!"
Yeah,
just like craziness. Also, we should say this book is definitely mature readers. So, like we said, there is nudity, there is swearing, there is crazy, weird ideas and everything in this. So, just so y'all know, but. Yeah, so then automatically Dorothy is very like upset, obviously, because she just got fucking foundation thrown in her face and called a freak. And so instantly the world around her starts to manifest the like African tribal people and the like tit breast women or whatever. Mouth tit women. Yeah, tit breast. The tit mouth women and stuff. And so yeah, it just gets all crazy. And this is where we finally actually get Robot. Like she's hiding from these people in like a toy section, and then even the toys around her have tit mouths, including the guys. Look, there's a Barbie and they're not Barbie and Ken. I can't remember what they're called.
Kelly and Bob. There you go.
And so there's Kelly and Bob like twin set or whatever, or double set, and both of them have tit breasts. So not tit breast, mouth breasts, teeth breasts. There you go. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. So like it was like, oh my God, and then Cliff Steele comes out of nowhere and hits those fucking dolls out of the way.
Yeah. I did like this. They were like in a box, and then they grew to like human size.
Yeah. And then Cliff Steele comes up in his traditional Doom. Yeah. That's how I knew he was real, because I'm like, that's how he looked in the Grant Morrison run. So this has to be like the real one.
I like his little getup because it kind of reminds me of Judge Dredd a little.
Yeah, he's got the big shoulder pads. It just looks very 80s. It's late 80s is when this was like came out. So he's got like a leather jacket and like, I don't know. He just looks, he's got like the Doc Martens on or whatever, he's got power glove fingers or whatever. Like, yeah, he's 80s mode, and I appreciate that. But yeah, so he actually comes back.
Knocks off the doll's head.
Yeah, just like kills the doll. She's like, oh, he's like, you know what? I'm here. We're all good now. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. And then this is like the part where I was like, what exactly is going on? So Magnus and Niles are talking. And apparently this is where we get like, okay, Magnus must have found Niles' head and then put him on a body. And then Niles is not a fan of this.
No, he's like, Like, I can't work with this body. This is shit.
Yeah. And he's basically like, you gave me this fucking puppet body, and like, how dare you? And yeah, basically Niles in his anger, because Magnus responds with like, this is bullshit. Like I didn't leave you here, or I didn't leave you. You're here. What are you gonna do about it? Kind of thing. Like they're just arguing about this.
Yeah, basically, like I saved your ass. Why are you complaining?
Yeah.
Like, enjoy this body.
And then and then Niles is like, I intend to correct your arrogance, and he fucking rips his own head off of this body. It's all bloody, and then Magnus is like, oh my god, Jesus Christ, shit, and he like throws the head of Niles in this cryogenic
like head pod.
Yeah, I mean he had it ready, I guess.
Yeah.
So
just in case this happened again.
They're in the base. So he had the head, like he just throws the head in this cryogenic box in a wall. It's like in a wall too. So it's like must be like a wall freezer or some shit.
Yeah.
And then we see the eyes of Niles go from like normal eyes that are kind of like dead looking to like
snake eyes.
Yeah, weird snake eyes. So
and now that they look like snakes, it's like a bunch of snakes are
inside of his head.
His head.
Yeah, like little baby snakes. Like, so that kind of sets up like maybe it's not Dorothy with the snakes and the African tribal stuff. Maybe it's has to do with Niles because he's got snakes in his head, apparently. Don't know exactly why he's got snakes in his head, but he's got them. He's got them there. So yeah, and then we start the next issue off with like this crazy vision of like Magnus in his head and
Niles in his head.
I'm sorry, Niles in his head, and he's got like, because now he's like removed from his body, and I think he's kind of like gone into his mind or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's just like this. He's like Mount Rushmore, but Mount Niles or whatever. It's just his one face on this mountain, and he's having like a fucking African plains dream or whatever.
Yeah, like this is kind of where it really starts to tie. You're like, why does it look like he's in Africa?
Yeah, why are these pigs? Why are these elements here?
Yeah.
And, oh, we saw pigs earlier and stuff. So then it looks like Magnus, having now, I guess, saved the head of Niles, has invited Dorothy to come to the base or whatever, and that's like, you see like a little bit of their dynamic where he is treating her like a kid and stuff, and she's like, look, I'm not naive. I'm the one who beat the Candlemaker. I don't know who the Candlemaker is, but I'm assuming that was a very big villain in the Grant Morrison run that she was the only one who could defeat. So he calls her naive because she doesn't know some things about the world or whatever. It's because she didn't know what a pack fund was. And who the fuck? I didn't even know what that shit was until I was like old, like 30 or whatever, because I was like, oh wait, politics or whatever. So yeah, she's like in her teens at most, so like I wouldn't expect her to know all that shit. But yeah, so or if I'm not sure if she's in her teens or if she's just acting like in her teens.
Yeah,
that was I wasn't sure if she's
maybe
like
in her mind.
In her mind, she's a teen. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah, that was the thing. Like, because she was in the aisle with the tampons earlier, and I wasn't sure if she's actually a teenager that was like around the first time she's buying tampons for herself, or if she's just kind of like developmentally that age, and like she's actually like 30 or 40 or something in years. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, she was in the original Doom Patrol, like from the 60s, so maybe that's what they're going for. But yeah. So, and then Cliff Steele is in this base as well with them. So the robot guy, and so he
comes across the head of.
Well, the chief actually talks to him. He calls Niles Chief, so we'll call Niles Chief from now on. But so Chief actually, like, because robots got antennas or whatever, so he's actually like communicating with Chief, and he actually goes like, starts going kind of crazy or whatever. I'm not sure if he was crazy before this, because he seemed fine in the store, but then later on they're like, his mind is broken because he doesn't have a brain anymore.
It showed when the one thing I will say on that page when they were in the store, it kind of zoomed in on his eyes about everything being okay, and his eyes look staticky instead of like a solid color, like when you were. Page. So that's the only thing that made me think that maybe there's something going on with him.
Okay, so but for sure, maybe he's been talking to Magnus the whole time. I mean, not Magnus, the Chief.
Chief.
God damn it,
Chief.
I'm going to confuse
Chief. No, it's okay. Chief and Magnus.
Magnus. Got it.
There you go.
Got it. It's because M and N were close, and that's why I think. But anyway, Chief has maybe been talking to him the whole time. But then in the real world, it says all this other shit starts happening, like fucking letter blocks, giant letter blocks falling from the sky, people getting frozen to death from their bed sheets. I'm not exactly sure how that works.
Well, it looked like it was like space or something.
Yeah, then she reaches out to touch her sheets that look like space,
and then like I guess she
freeze her,
like frozen in space death. I guess it was weird.
Then like people in a museum are looking at paintings, and then they're like talking, and then all of a sudden they don't understand each other, and they're like, "Wait, what'd you say?" Like they don't understand, and all of a sudden their language becomes nonsensical. And then this is all over the world too, because we show like San Francisco, and then like there's a doctor giving brain surgery, which would be horrifying. He's giving brain surgery, and then all of a sudden he doesn't understand what's going on, and then he sees like a weird spire / clock number thing coming out of a brain, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like the world is going loopy.
Yeah.
And so this is what I'm talking about. Like this is like full psychedelic. What the fuck is going on? I'm just going to go along with this. But this is straight up like the Phantom Toll Booth book is in the real world. God damn it! These letters are all over the fucking place, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Other than, I don't know if it's Magnus. Someone from the government's like, we need help with this, and they're like, oh, the Justice League's busy or whatever. It's like, we'll get the next best thing, the Doom Patrol, because you got to explain why wouldn't the Justice League fight this? But also, it's not a bad guy. It's numbers and letters and fucking weird shit,
weird things
happening to people. So it's a little past the Justice League, right? You can't punch a letter and make it go away. You know? So,
yeah, Superman. You can't just use your laser eye beams and make everything better.
Yeah. So basically, like we're Dorothy and Cliff are kind of getting reacquainted now that they're like together in the base, and while all of this shit's going on, and he's kind of mean to her at first. I don't know if this is just because his mind is crazy, but yeah, like we find out that his mind is like gone. He doesn't have a brain inside of his head anymore. It's just like a hard drive that was running that kind of got fried in their last battle.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's what we were talking about, because he doesn't want to talk about Crazy Jane. And so maybe that was something that had to do with that. Maybe that's how he lost his brain. Because when I read a little bit back, I was curious more about him, and I was like, oh, he had a human brain at one point as well. So
yeah, and so that's why his head looks like he's got a robot head, but it kind of stops at the right above his eyes, and then it looks like either a glass dome or a metal dome that can come off.
Yeah.
So his brain actually was inside of that, and then I guess got scrambled or something. So now he's got like a hard drive his hard drive that had his brain memories in there got fried a little bit, got scrambled. So he's not sure what's going on exactly. He's not quite himself. He's kind of mean, and he also doesn't know exactly what's real and what's not, because he starts seeing shit. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, is this a real thing or is this not? And then like, as that's happening, more African stuff starts to appear in the base. And then, like, we see Dorothy have to fight it off with, like, a hanger person. And then we see Magnus is talking to, like, these African people. And I don't know. It just seemed like he was the bad guy in this. Because, and I'm not sure why. Like, I don't know. He was talking to them like, I don't know, should we kill her or whatever? He's like, Like, it would just seem weird that he was so... like against Dorothy. I'm not sure. He even says like, she's hardly my daughter. Some trouble has come to her, and I'm sure she can find herself a protector. I've done enough damage. But then he says, if she herself has become trouble, then I think the solution is obvious: kill her. So I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy that he like say that about one of his mates or whatever. So he's actually like convening with these tribal people, and. So I was just like, I guess he's bad. I don't know.
I don't know. It was really hard to tell, because obviously he has that close connection with the group. But then, like when he's in this like state or trance or talking with the tribesmen, as this giant cliffside of a mountain.
Yeah.
The chief is very much like, yeah, Dorothy's kind of like out of control now, and like I don't know if there's much we could do about it.
Yeah, but the only reason she's out of control is because these fucking tribal visions keep happening, and then she keeps calling her people, like her memories, or manifesting her own like people to fight these visions, and then we see like the world just going crazy. Basically, we get this like army being built, and it's kind of like a Patton sequence. Where like this general, in quotations, is standing in front of a American flag that's made up of snakes, and he's like talking to this group of like faceless warriors that have like, it's weird.
It looked like cosmic, like spacey faces or something.
Yes, they have spacey faces, but they also have like maintenance worker belts, like pouches or whatever, like handyman belts or whatever. They have that whole like screwdrivers. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? And so it was just weird, but. And then, like, Dorothy starts making her own people manifest while she's reading a magazine. But she's learning, like, okay, I can't let these things happen. So she's controlling it now. So that's good. She's starting to control it so that, like, the African tribe stops reappearing wherever she's manifesting stuff. And then, just weird, this is, like, the weirdest thing. I don't know how the fuck this happens. But the head of the chief is... talking to the African tribe, and he brings up these tribes are called the nanos, and they're actual nano machines, is what he kind of reveals. It's like these are machines. These things that are happening in the world that are causing this chaos is actual, like, I'm taking it like actual nano micro machines or whatever, like little bug, like in Jason X. The things that heal people and heal Jason into Super Jason.
Yes.
It's like that. And so, but in the middle of this, like while they're talking, there's like a giant pig in this reality that just falls through the sky, falls through this reality into Earth reality, and lands in the middle of this town. And it's like a gigantic pig.
Yeah, it looks like it would be the size of like a double-decker bus.
Yes. And inside of it is Africa. And so it's kind of like a doorway for them to just kind of release this army into the world or whatever. It's fucking, I don't understand exactly, but that's kind of what I got from it. It's their doorway. This pig, inside of this pig is the doorway at which things can come into our world at will now. They don't have to just wait for these African tribal people to like make them appear or whatever. And so now they're like, we have to stop it. And then as they're saying, as like Dorothy and Cliff are like, we got to fight it, but Cliff's not 100%, and Dorothy can't even use her powers. Then another thing opens, like another portal, and the we'll call them the mystery maintenance guys, the maintenance army.
I like that, mystery maintenance.
Mystery maintenance army of these that the weird Patton dude gave a speech for. They appear in a portal, and they are like. They got their drills out. They're ready to fuck some shit up. And so they appear, and then it's like, oh.
We're here, and we're not here to fix stuff.
Yeah, this isn't maintenance or whatever. Then we appear back in Africa, and it looks like everybody's kind of waiting to go through this pig because they can see the pig in their, like, African dimension or whatever, wherever that is. And then the pig is also on the street in our world, in our dimension. So it looks like they're, like, waiting to go through the pig portal.
The pig portal.
The pig portal. This makes the most sense ever. And then it also looks like Chief's mountain just completely disappears.
Yeah.
Like it like vanishes from this dimension. So this is in the middle of that fight. Cliff Steele is beating the shit out of all these maintenance men.
The mystery maintenance army.
The mystery maintenance militia. That's what we're going to call it.
I like it.
3M.
3M.
But yeah, so the mystery militia is fighting Cliff, and like she wants to help. Dorothy wants to help, but Magnus won't let her because she can't use her powers, and also she's like, "Fuck you, Magnus," and she just basically manifests what she was looking at in the magazine, which was, I don't know what fucking magazine she was looking at, but it had like burlesque dancers or something.
Yeah, they're kind of like that, or like they look like they're doing like the Rocketeer line, or maybe like Vegas Showgirls.
The Rockettes.
I said the Rocketeer. Yeah, the Rockettes.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
If only they were the Rocketeer girls.
I'd be down. I'd be even more down.
Just a bunch of Cliff C chords.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you got some gams on him, But the difference is these people have these women have like showgirl tops on, but then they have like goat legs on the bottom. This reminded me of Dragnet so much. Like that movie, you've seen Dragnet, right? Yeah, where it's like, gotta get your goat leggings for the pagan rally. Get your goat leggings. Oh shit, that made me laugh so hard.
I haven't seen that forever.
Oh man. Anyway, so they kick the shit out of these maintenance militia people. Along with like another hanger person, like a person made of hangers, is also
hanger man, go.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck is going on? So, although that would be fairly terrifying because hangers hurt like a motherfucker. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been hit by a hanger.
For a metal hanger, I've been scratched by a metal hanger before many a time.
Yeah, I would actually be more scared of that than the goat leg. Or whatever. So, So then they defeat them, but it's very clear that like Cliff is not in a good place, and they're like, we have to figure something out with Cliff, and they take him to like the computer room, I believe, to like work on him, and then we got back to the city, and I don't know what the fuck is wrong with these people, but the people in the middle of the town that saw this giant pig body fall from the sky.
Let's get close to it and take a look.
Hey, what's that? Maybe we should look inside of this giant fucking pig with this like a dimensional Africa inside of his stomach that we can see. I don't know. I'm gonna get closer.
Let's get close and see what's going on.
Yeah, and the closer they get to this thing, the more crazy shit happens. One of them gets like a pterodactyl face, and then like one of them gets like a Magneto helmet or whatever. And like they stop being able to talk to each other in a language, and so it's just crazy shit starts happening, and it's pretty weird. And then out of the portal comes the African tribal people, and they just fucking start going to town. They start, chopping people up and whatnot. Then we see like America, like the generals and stuff are like, what are we going to do, sir? And they're on the phone, and all of a sudden like shit that they're doing starts like going wrong as well. Like they see like weird shit falling from the sky, and just reality is becoming unraveled basically.
Yeah. All over.
And so they're like, we need Cliff to work on this shit. Like we need his head to get better. And this is one of those things that was like a little convenient, but Cliff, they I guess in this room they have defenses. He Magnus pushes a button as the militiamen again come through like the wall because they have their drills and shit. They could just drill and
they drill a hole out through anything.
Yeah, maintenance guys, they can just cut a hole. They get their sawzall out.
Hey, this wall? This wall?
Yeah, let's just
can we just take out the supportive wall?
Yeah. So they're just busting through walls, and I guess Magnus is like, oh, luckily they busted into the room with the
danger room.
The danger room, basically. And so they like push a button, and like these spikes come up from the floor and like kind of pin them, and they're like, we got to figure something out. Cliff is not doing well, and then Dorothy manifests like the dancers and Dot and the hanger guy again, and they start fighting these maintenance guys again. And then we cut to the city and everything's going crazy. We also get the maintenance men now coming out of the pig, and they're killing people in the street like cops and shit, while everybody's faces are turning into fucking ampersands and shit. Yeah. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? The weirdest looking one is this cop. He's like on his knees and he's like, what is happening? And he's got like 4 mouths under his mouth. So, his face just became like elongated just from his mouth down. So his chin is gigantic and he's got like 4 mouths now just in play, like there. I don't know. It's very trippy. Weird. It just, once again, it doesn't make the most sense, but it's crazy and interesting, and I don't know. It's just more of the same, but even on a crazier level than the Grant Morrison stuff. Then the head of Chief appears again in the African land to the African elders, and he's talking to them, and
he's like, you know what? I thought about what you were saying. I really don't think these are those nano machines. Like, I think you guys are lying, or there's something else going on here.
Yeah, and then he kind of like sees what's happening. I guess he asks like, "What are they doing?" And then like he realizes he's in like this computer because he like his mind. It's weird. It shows like circuitry or whatever, and you're like, oh, computers. Like, and this is 1993, so like there's no internet or anything. So like the way they actually did a really good job of explaining like or just showing imagery that you're like, oh, I understand what's going on.
Well, you know,
circuits.
You said that, and it automatically made me think like they actually did this a lot in comics and made it really understandable and good. Because remember in Deathlock, there was something like that too, like in his head or whatever.
Yeah, and he was traveling through those circuits.
Traveled through the lines.
This isn't quite as egregious as that, where he's like actually walking past a bank, a digital impression of a bank or whatever. But this is like, it just shows circuitry behind him, and you're like, oh, okay. Like,
they're good about getting that early technology image across.
Yeah, and then like then they get cornered, or we cut back to Dorothy and Cliff, and they kind of get cornered by one of the tribal people, and they're trying to get Dorothy to come with them. That's like the main thing they're trying to do. I don't know why they want her to come with them.
I'm not sure either. They want her to come, and then it's like she won't come, but they're like, okay, take this brain for
one of them does. I don't know why this guy does, but he's like, it's a gift from Mother Time, and it's like a brain that they give to Cliff.
Yeah, just take this random brain from these
these African tribes who've been fucking shit up.
I'm sure everything will be fine.
I'm sure it'll be, but it was fine. I don't get it. They put the brain into Cliff. This is what I gather, at least. Or I'm okay. Maybe I'm wrong. She brings it to the cryo freezer. Then she opens the door, and we see that Chief's head is there. She didn't know, and he's like, "Where am I?" He's talking. His head.
Yeah,
he's talking by itself.
His decapitated head starts talking.
He's like, "Where am I? I need ice." And she's like, "The real world." So he was in his mind in some weird like
another plane of existence,
or something, where with these African people causing all this shit to happen. I think he was the connection, manifesting these African tribal visions and stuff. And then I don't know, the brain just kind of disappears. They don't show the brain again. It's like she put it in the freezer and left it there or something.
I think so, but I think it's more of like, because she says, I have a job for you, and I think she realizes she needs his help to get the brain into. That's what I assume.
Yes, that is true. So she's like, I need help to get the brain in. So I forgot about that part. But yeah, so they're trying to wrangle everything up. Like, while this is happening, people are still like manifesting, and Cliff is having to fight them off, and like shit's going on all over the place. And then we finally get like everything kind of calms down. I'm not exactly sure what happens, but basically the African people are like, oh, time to go home. And then like some people are like, not without us. And like some people from the town run into the pig.
Yeah.
I
guess they're have been mutated and changed enough.
I guess. And they like run back to inside the pig, and then the pig closes up and becomes alive again. And now they're back in Africa, and they're like, welcome to the Mother Time is what they call this place.
Yeah.
So it's just craziness. Okay. So, and then now everything's calm, and I wasn't sure exactly why everything was calm. The only thing I can figure out is that, okay, Chief or Niles is awake now. His head is out of the freezer.
Yeah.
But let me posit this to you. All the shit that happened in the first issue was when he was on his second body.
Maybe he was also freaking out when he was on second body, because
he
had to pull his head off.
Maybe the government guy fucked with the head body combination or something. I don't fucking know. But either way, now that he's just a head and he's out of the freezer, and I love this. He now just sits in a bucket of ice, but not a bucket, like a square bucket, like from your freezer, like the thing that actually holds.
Yeah, like the ice cube tray thing.
Yeah. His head now sits in that, which is fantastic. And then he's basically like, I can we can fix you, robot. Don't worry, we got your brain. And then also like, you know what? Let's stop hating on each other. Like, let's be a team again. We're the Doom Patrol, damn it. And so then they like put their hands on his head. They're like, one for all and all for one.
Yeah.
So then that's the end. That's the end. I like this. They actually put their hands on his head, which I thought was fun.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird fucking comic, but like definitely a one of a kind story. Like I mean, when I say one of a kind, obviously she is kind of bouncing off the Grant Morrison craziness run, but I felt like I said, I felt like this was possibly more crazy than that stuff. and not in like a bad way, just like she just throws you in the deep end of her imagination or whatever. So like I was like really impressed with how well she did as far as following Grant Morrison. That's a hard a hard thing for anybody, and having never really read her comics, because she hasn't done that much comics, at least from what I've seen, because any stuff that I've heard of, at least, that I was like, I don't know what her writing style is going to be. So the fact that she could follow Grant Morrison and even like toe to toe, or even maybe crazier, I was like, wow, this is fucking insane.
That says a lot, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it still made sense. Like she did wrap the story up nicely, as far as like, okay, we kind of understand what's going on. There was definitely stuff that I still don't 100% get in this, but I'm willing to roll with it, because this is actually just the first 3 issues. And we said we were going to read all of the issues. We did, but because these 3 issues were so crazy and we had to explain everything going on, we don't want to go for another hour. So we'll just kind of say we liked the second story arc a lot too, which is the next 3 issues. They were, if not, they were as crazy, but more
maybe streamlined. I would
streamlined and understandable.
Yeah.
So like you still get the craziness of what's going on. You get like the more, since now that they're reforming the Doom Patrol, you get like kind of like where they're gonna now base from. I believe it kind of felt like that's where they're gonna base from. They get like a new place. They're at first they're like R&R. They're like, let's just chillax together, and then as they're chillaxing, just weird shit starts happening.
I will say there's a main. I really like the main villain that goes.
Main villain is fantastic.
Yeah, it's called Master Cleaner, and the embodiment of this character is like
a fetus in a head womb.
Yeah, fetus in a head womb on like a robotic body, and he has like a flamethrower kind of like hand.
Yes, it was ridiculous.
Awesome.
and I will say, like one thing about the Doom Patrol, at least that I remember, is they defeat the bad guys not just by punching. Like even in this, there was fighting and stuff, but they didn't like. And now we beat those African tribal people back to that dimension. It was like, all we had to do was pull Magnus out of the freezer, and then all of a sudden he was manifesting them. Yeah. So that they just start going away, kind of thing.
That's true. We won't since we didn't go into as much.
We won't spoil the
next
end.
one, but the way that they end up defeating Master Cleaner is it's not by like a physical force.
It's really, really fun. I liked how they defeated him. Or them, I don't know. It's a fucking fetus and a robot.
Yes, it's not. We're not gender that fetus. We have no idea, because that was a. I don't
even know if it's a human fetus. It could be something else. So, but it is. They introduce you to some people who are probably obviously going to be in the Doom Patrol.
Yeah,
this new
Doom
Patrol.
Almost like recruiting new members.
Yeah, they get new members. It's definitely like a more, and it's more fun too. Like some of the bad things that happen aren't as like. It's not like. Manifestations of blocks in the air. It's like people, things, and objects get removed from reality and get replaced with a piece of paper that say that thing on it. So the mailman's gone, and it just is a piece of paper that says mailman. And you're like, wait, what? It's like something is stealing. The Master Cleaner is cleaning reality or whatever, like in his crazy mind or whatever.
Leaving little IOUs.
Yeah. Basically, that's what it is. Like. Those IOUs, they're worth their weight in gold. So I thought I had a lot of fun with this. It definitely threw me straight back into Doom Patrol mode when I was reading it. I was like, wow, I am like ready to read more of this and like finish. She only did this run for like, she finished the series, this whole volume. So by that I mean I think she did it to like 85 or something like that, and then that's when that volume ended. And then I think John Byrne did his run on the Doom Patrol because he was like, I want to do a run on Doom Patrol. And they're like, all right, you're canceled, Rachel. John, you get to do whatever you want because you're John Byrne. So, but whatever. I quite like this, and I would want to read more of this if I was reading the comic, especially if I had been reading the Grant Morrison one and was just like, oh, this is just more of the same.
I want to go back and dip my toe into the Grant Morrison stuff and see, because this was wild, but the fact that I was still able to be like, oh, okay, like I maybe had to read a page a couple, 2 or 3 times to make sure I got the whole thing. But that's the one thing I have to say about this. A lot of the times when the story's out there and I have to reread something, I usually will get more annoyed than I will be like, oh, I really want to understand this more.
Me too.
And for this, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on, I gotta reread this.
I gotta understand what the fuck is going on. Yeah,
and so that was really cool.
I never felt annoyed with this. I definitely just felt like I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm rolling with the punches.
But I'm in the story. Let's do this.
Yeah, I want to know what happens.
100%.
I'm following enough of the story that I'm still invested in what's going to happen. I'm understanding enough of it, but there is just a level of ambiguity and craziness and avant-garde, like going on that it's just like, okay, this feels like Doom Patrol. Like this definitely felt like I don't know of another team book or comic, especially that's like a mainstream team. Like, and I say mainstream because they have their own fucking TV show.
Yeah,
that like has this feel. So
I haven't watched.
I don't think I've ever read a comic like Doom Patrol, and it's especially from the Grant Morrison run on, and then this Rachel Pollack stuff. Like I hadn't read. I don't think I can tell you another comic that has this same feel, especially for a team book or whatever. So it's definitely unique, and it's a DC. It's a DC book. That's the shit you get at DC. You never get this at Marvel. You get X-Men at Marvel, right? Like,
yeah, I will say this is one of the like weirdest comics I've read that wasn't specifically like branded as like a oh, this is going to be weird comic. Like this is like, oh no, this is like a main team of ours, check this out, and then it's like, what? Like yeah no.
I was really wondering what you were going to think of this, because it was just like, it's like, especially when I was like, I don't know, because I haven't read the Rachel Pollack stuff, but if it's anything like the Grant Morrison stuff, he's going to be like, what did you make me read, man? and then I started from the first page. I was like, oh my god, like this is John is in for it, because he had no idea what was going on. I at least had a little bit of like, oh, I read some of the Grant Morrison stuff, and I know that it's crazy if it continues that.
Now, I will say the only thing I did before reading this comic is I read who the members, quote unquote, of Doom Patrol were, and I saw the original kind of team, and then I was like, okay, like what members have come and gone, and I looked at like the kind of like the time frame. So I looked at that, based it upon like when this was written. I was like, okay, I see that people have come and gone and things have happened. All right, let's go into this.
There we go. Oh, that's probably the smartest thing you could have done.
Yeah.
Because you would have been like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But, I mean, in actuality, like if you were going to pick it up in the store, you see Grant Morrison's run is ending, and then they're like, hey, pick up the new issue. It's a new writer.
Yeah,
it should be a jump on point. I mean, it's a jump on point for sure. They throw you in that fucking pool. But they hold your hands. They throw you in that fucking pool, but in a good way though. You're I can feel the water creeping into the sides of my mouth, but I'm able to swallow it and still breathe. That's basically how I felt in this book a little bit. So, but it was fun. Like I still had a good time. It's like when you get out of the pool, you're like, that was horrifying, but now you know what? I kind of want to go back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was telling John this felt like when you have falafel for the first time, you're like, it tastes like feet, but now I want to eat more feet. Like it's Tamako from The Simpsons. It's like, it tastes like grandma. It does taste like grandma. We'll take 5 buckets. Like that's exactly what it was to me. I was like fully into this. But what did you think, John? What would you give this one?
I liked it. I was gonna say your analogies of this were much funnier than the one I thought of, because to me it was a roller coaster ride, and like I went on some ups and downs, and then by the time I was done, I was like, I kind of want to like go again, like what's going, that was interesting.
Yeah,
like,
it's so crazy. What the fuck is going to happen next?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, like definitely like I was not off put. I was like taken aback. And then, like, as I reread a page or two that maybe I didn't quite understand, I was like, okay, like, where's this going? This is really weird.
Yeah. I remember you texted me and you said it was interesting, and I was like, that word means a lot of things from a different people.
Yes,
right? So,
yeah. If my mom says interesting, it's like, well, she probably didn't like it. She just thought it was okay. But like, yeah, interesting. It's because I could not describe to you really how I felt about this. This was a lot.
Yeah, I was actually worried about this episode, and like I said, we had to cut it short because just describing what happens in 3 issues, like the first little story arc, was hard enough to last an hour, or was like enough description for an hour podcast. So I was like, oh, I guess we're stopping early today because goddamn, it was a lot of to explain, to figure out, and even I was like, I don't know exactly what happened. We still don't know what happened. I don't know how to talk about this. I'm like, people might be like, you fucking idiots, it's this, and okay, please tell us. But
I will say I like the art. The art was great.
Yeah, art was fantastic.
The covers were all intense.
Brian Boland. Brian Boland covers.
Yeah, all the covers were intense and like, but in a good way, just like, whoa, that's like a crazy image. Like I think the second one has the Chief's face.
Yeah.
But like it looks like kind of more blown out and like splattery. It was very intense. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if that was some of them were Brian Boland, some of them were other people. Maybe what the fuck is his name? Starts with an S. Sinkovich.
Every cover was very cool, and then like you said, the art all in this was fantastic. I enjoyed it. It's good, like strong 80s art, and like there's no slacking here.
Yeah.
And then the story, like
this was definitely top Vertigo. Like in my mind, this is up there with, Animal Man and actually I don't even know if Animal now it's considered Vertigo, but like in the time, this is definitely top Vertigo books.
Well, I still haven't read it. We still haven't read Animal Man, so I don't know.
Well, we will. We will. How about we do a bunch of Grant Morrison Vertigo books not next week, but the next couple.
But then in particular, Rachel Pollack's story was very. Yeah, this is one of the most unique ones I've ever read, and I'm here for it. Like it was fun, and I definitely I want to go back and kind of get a little more backstory.
Yeah.
But then I totally kind of want to see where this goes, especially because we read the next part and I really like that. At least a little more.
I don't know why they didn't collect this yet because it's literally 15 issues.
Again, we're gonna throw this out there, DC. If you got together finally and got those Milestone comics coming back out, maybe,
dude, they're releasing an entire compendium of all the Milestones.
You're welcome. DC Universe,
and everybody,
you are welcome. Everybody else that's been ready for Milestone, we love and appreciate it, and we're glad that DC is listening to our podcast secretly.
Yeah.
So
DC's got a big pride flag on their behind their DC logo. How about you release some Rachel Pollack?
Yeah.
And
you want to make money,
stuff,
but also get people excited and interested and oh wow, I didn't know about this person. And this is something that supports them.
Yeah, and this is in 1993. You should be like, DC has supported trans authors, gay authors, all these forever,
for a long time. Before it kind of became it's a little more corporatized now, but that's because more people are trying to. Yes, there's some people that are just going with corporate to wokeness about it, but there are some people that are actually trying, and and
they actually tried to get people that are out of the box, aren't your normal people to write, Vertigo stuff, because you're talking Grant Morrison. You meet that guy, you're like, this is not a normal human being. He's got so many cool ideas, and there's just not a normie like me or you or whatever.
Yeah.
Rachel Pollack just knocked it out of the park here.
So DC, you're on notice. By next year's Pride, let's see some collections of some fantastic
I want to see. They already got the
writers.
Grant Morrison omnibus for Doom Patrol. I want to see the Rachel Pollack omnibus from Doom Patrol. So there you go.
Anyway, so overall, I would give this one. It was solid. I would give it a 7. It was it was a great read. The only reason it didn't go a little more is just because
we still don't exactly know what happened.
I'm still 100%, and I need to have a little. But I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 7 as well. At first, I was like, should I grade it on understandability? Because then it'd be lower. But I don't feel like it was lower.
No,
I feel like it was a great story, and it definitely continued the Doom Patrol, momentum of Grant Morrison, and I really enjoyed what I read, so I'm like, nah, this is a 7 for sure. I don't know if there's anything groundbreaking 8, 9, 10 level, but it was definitely a better version of it was a crazier story. It was a better version of like we said, X-Men is a lamer version or a dumbed down, a watered down version of this.
Not that we don't love X-Men, but
no, we love X-Men, but there's. Nothing gets crazy like this. This is the only thing I've ever read that's this level of, or this team book, I should say. Not because Grant Morrison was also crazy like that, but this Doom Patrol series of Volume 2 is the craziest team book that's a mainstream-ish book that I've ever read. Yeah. Like I said, there's a fucking TV show of the Doom Patrol. From what I've heard, a lot of it actually comes from this run.
Yeah,
I think that's what the guy that interviewed Rachel that I was listening to, his name is Perch, for anybody who wants the Comics by Perch podcast. He interviewed Rachel Pollack, and that's why I didn't even know who she was. And then I was like, oh, you wrote Doom Patrol, and it's actually that's where the show's getting a lot of its ideas from. And I was like, oh, well, now I want to read that because I haven't watched the show, but I mean, I'd never heard of this person, and they're saying it's like as good or better than the Grant Morrison run, or and like stuff that's being produced is from it. So that means it's good source material.
People like it, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I want to read this now. So I'm glad we finally got to check this out. And yeah, we both give it 7s. If I would just say, look back in the past. I think a lot of these people get forgotten now, because a lot of it's now more in the open. People are like, yeah, I'm trans, I'm proud, I'm gay, I'm proud, I'm whatever, I'm proud. And a lot of those people kind of forget there were people like Rachel Pollack and Lila Sturgis, even though that was only 15 years ago. I mean, I don't hear people talk about her either, and I'm like, she did great comics. So like, or even like people like Louise Simonson, women in comics, you get like really good runs of like, New Mutants, and I think she did X Factor and stuff too. It's like those are people that should still be remembered, even though there were less. They weren't allowed to be as. They were more in the background, I guess, because they're just, they're just doing their job, and they're not being promoted like like they would be nowadays or whatever. But we need to remember some of these older people. That's why when you suggested, hey, we should do some books for Pride, I'm like, sure. And you said like, oh, let's do like this new modern one. I'm like, no, it's not to do that. Let's pick someone that maybe people haven't heard of before, because they definitely Rachel's work was fucking fantastic in this. So she definitely should get more push and more remembrance of her stuff. And she needs some fat paychecks, some royalties. If they release an omnibus, she gets not only what she got paid for this, but every sold unit of that, she gets a royalty. So,
hell yeah.
That's why you want these things to be reprinted, because that actually supports the trans authors and gay authors and, minority authors from past years or whatever. Is they get a fat check for that. So when Milestone gets reprinted now, guess what? All those people now get a big fat paycheck for every compendium sold, every issue sold on Comixology, all that stuff. So, that's what we want, is those people get supported and, actually like noticed and read and, all that kind of stuff. So, I would just don't forget the past. We need to push these authors and writers too, even though it's great, but there's a lot of more open and now accepted new authors that are also gay and trans and minority. So, on that note, once again, check out our YouTube. If you guys want a Comixology gift card, enter into our YouTube 100 subscriber giveaway, and just subscribe and comment on any multiple videos from Monsters Review on. And on that note, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word, at gmail.com.
And don't forget about our Twitter and our YouTube channel, like we mentioned, and our Instagram for exclusive content as well. Also, next week, we're going to be checking out for our 4th of July weekend. It kind of ended up to be a good time to do this.
Yeah, 4th of July. Rah, rah, rah. We love America. We're going to read American Flag, which John hasn't read, but I know is not quite the patriotic book you might think it is from the cover of it. But there's American Flag is by Howard Chaykin, and it was published by First Comics, I believe, in the 80s, 1982. And apparently, I've read it, but I mean, I'm just give a little bit of history. It is before Watchmen, before Dark Knight. There was a little comic called American Flag that was its own crazy, cynical, anti-establishment, goodness. So definitely read that with us. Check it out. I know it's available on Comixology. I know it was reprinted by, I think, IDW. You might be able to find those, but for sure you can get it on Comixology. So check it out, read it before and hear us talk about it, or let us
crap out of it.
Spoil the fuck out of it for you. So on that note, we'll see you on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.